And there we go, the final rebel settlement has finally fallen. Well done to Dacia for taking the Amazonia settlement. Well done. Welcome to part 3 of this Rome Total War AI only campaign, which I'm just spectating how the AI does until the turn 100 BC and see who has the most territory at the end. And starting this episode off, of course, we lost the final rebel settlement, but also the Seleucids and the Egyptians are now at war. But the Seleucids have had a bit of time to build up a bit, so maybe it won't go how it always goes and the Egyptians just walk over them. The Seleucid Empire, I think, if they do it right, they could really set back the Egyptians. But of course, then we've got Armenia, weirdly, in the north, and they could also just take territory from the Seleucids once the Seleucids get down here. So it's really an unstable situation here. Anything could happen at this point. Only one will become dominant, either Pontus, Armenia, Parthians, the Seleucids, or Egypt. But which one? And at this point, I can't really tell. I think it's going to be either Egypt or the Seleucids, but Armenia definitely do stand a chance in this. And of course, the Romans, right there, it's not looking as desperate as it was earlier. The British attacked a few times, but pulled back. The Germans have pulled back a little bit, more on the defensive now. But yeah, that could have gone really bad. If I lost these two settlements here, which they almost did, to the British and the Germans, then it's only a matter of time until I guess they lose these settlements. Unless the Marian reforms get involved first, but I doubt that would have been enough. And Lilybaeum, the Sicilian Carthaginian settlement, has finally fallen to the Scipii. Now the Scipii only have one more settlement to take in Sicily, Syracuse, and then they can expand further to take possibly Carthage or Sardinia, I guess. Well done to the Seleucids for being able to take Jerusalem from the Egyptians. I think the Seleucids are actually going to destroy the Egyptians. Egypt took too long. They should have struck near the start, but instead they waited for the Seleucid Empire to get strong, and now it's probably going to be the death of them. The Seleucids are on the move, but not only that, the Dacians are on the move as well. They're really forcing back Scythia, and now Scythia are down to their final 2 settlements. Could they be the second faction to get destroyed in this Let's Play, this AI only series? And of course, Macedonia took Athens. I didn't actually see that happen, but yeah, most have done that a few turns ago. But they're under siege over here as well, so they need to get all the troops much more spread out so they can hand over the Romans. Right, so the British have held this border quite strongly. We've got some troops here now, they're kind of pushing over a little bit to threaten the Spanish. But what they're also doing is, what they were also doing, they did have this settlement under siege again. So again, now that they've solved the problem over here, they're showing interest in attacking the Romans. Same with the Germans as well. They thought a Roman army pushed them back to Arminium, but do they have? They need to unite the troops together and make an actual push onto the Romans, I think. And then they could, they could destroy the Julii, was what I was saying, but that's not what I was going to say. Bomilcar of Carthage has landed on the Roman port. He doesn't have the troops, I don't think he has the troops to actually destroy the SPQR, but still, Carthage, they're still trying that same plan. They're still going for it. Come on, Carthage. I kind of hope they do it, as that would make the series super weird, and I think that would be interesting to see, but I don't think they can at the same time. I don't think they have the strength. Yeah, and just like that, the Carthaginian army got destroyed, but they really weakened the SPQR. They're so weak at this point. One more army like that. Come on, Carthage, one more army of that size, and they could take Rome. But now they've lost Sicily, the Scipii are going to show interested in landing in Carthage. I think it's too late. I think the Romans are going to hold against Carthage. But against the Germans and the British, I'm less certain. I think if the German AI plays correctly, they could destroy Rome. But that's only if they play correctly. If they keep going how they're going right now with this defensive plan, it's not going to happen. and I think this is definitely the fall of Macedon. They've got Larissa besieged by the Romans, and they lost their capital, Thessalonica. The Brutii just charged in and took it like that, quite easily as well, so yeah, that wasn't good for them. Finally, the Barbarians are on the move. The British took this Julii settlement here, and now they now have a foothold in Italy, which is good. They've got this border under control for the most part. Come on, Britain, they can definitely do it. Just keep on making that push, keep winning soldiers, and we need the Germans as well to work with them here. I think Egypt is a dead faction now. They're going to lose Sidon, and the Seleucids should storm through, take all of Egypt. And then I guess it's only Armenia that can stop them next. And Armenia is looking good. They're trying to retake, I think that was their capital originally. I don't know, but yeah, they're trying. They're still trying. Armenia can do this. Larissa has now fallen to the Romans, and they immediately put Athens under siege. Macedon is just broken down the middle now, and everything's going wrong for Macedon. They've lost most of their troops, and yeah, as I said, when they went to war with the Romans, of course they had a good start, but it really was the beginning of the end, because they couldn't do anything against those Brutii. They were brutal on the Macedonians. Of course, I'm going to check the stats at the end of this episode, but right now, the superpower of the East is the Seleucid Empire, the Roman superpower is the Brutii, but also there's other nations that have a lot of potential. Dacia, the Germans, and the British. Maybe the Iberians if they can break through, but I doubt they will, so... What's Armenia doing all the way over here? Whatever. Well done to the British for having Segesta under siege, and the Germans as well for having Segestica under siege. I've only just noticed the same name, but just one has a I and a C there. Weird. The Seleucid Empire is now looking at Memphis. After knocking the Egyptians out of the Middle East, they're going into modern day Egypt. Good luck to the Seleucids as well, good luck. Even though my guess was Egypt, it will be interesting to see the Seleucids destroy them. Oh, the Greek city-states have just been destroyed. Now, what killed them was the regicide, which is what happens when you lose all of your generals. And of course, the Scipii took Syracuse. The Greek final general was, of course, must have been in Syracuse. And yes, so Sparta regicided and went rebel. Who's going to take Sparta? Is it going to be either... I was going to say Macedonians or the Romans, but Macedonians don't really have the troops to spare right now. I think Sparta is going to remain rebel for a while. Maybe the Egyptians, that would be interesting. But I think the Romans will eventually take it. Well done to the Scipii for finally taking Sicily. As I said, they do it eventually, but they always take their time. And now, I guess they're going to build up their armies a bit and then eventually sail over to take Carthage. That could definitely be interesting to see, but the Scipii, their campaign depends on how long they take. If they do it quickly, then they can build quite a good empire and compete. But sometimes, they have a slow start, and yeah, that can cause problems at times, and they usually don't do as well. The Julii set back to the start, to their final two settlements. Well done to the British for taking Segesta. I think they will probably lose it to the Julii. I don't know, it's difficult to tell. The British, they could take some land off the Spanish over here if they do it right, but yeah, they need to get some more troops over here, and they need the Germans as well to do something. The Germans have a lot of troops around here, but they haven't used them right, and they keep dying. It's a shame to see if they all grouped up into one big army. The Julii could have been destroyed, but I think it's too late at this point. The Brutii have Aquincum over here under siege. This German settlement, I'm sure they'll be able to take that. Maybe not. If the Germans get there quick enough, then maybe not. Now taking a look over at the Seleucid Egypt front. The Seleucids have taken Memphis, and they've definitely got the troops to take Alexandria and Thebes as well, so well done to the Seleucid Empire. They've survived against their main enemy, and now they're about to enter the late game at some point, which is where they have really good troops and where they really start to build an empire. We could actually see a Seleucid Empire victory here, which would be very interesting to see, which is very rare in Let's Play campaigns, but Has happened a few times in AI-only campaigns before. So it's not impossible, it does happen. Unless Armenia could have something to say about it, who, by the way, have never survived at the end with more than 3 settlements. Yeah, this is the best Armenia has ever done, is all I'm saying. And I kind of want to see it keep going uphill for them. At Quincum, as you can see on the minimap there, was taken by the Brutii. Well done to them, and that's not good for the Germans. It's good for the Brutii, as now, they're really going to expand into Dacia, and every settlement for them counts, but for the Germans, that's quite a big loss for them. They're now having to bring troops over here to try and deal with it, which means less troops over here, which means the Julii could eventually retake Batavium. The British have held on over here in Italy. We've got some more troops coming. I don't really know what's going to happen here. I can't predict the future with this, but I'm guessing it will eventually fall to the Romans, but if the British play it right, we should be able to hold on to it for another 50 turns or something. Egypt has fallen to the Seleucid Empire, and Egypt is just crumbling at this point. They're going to be down soon, I guess, to the final 2 settlements, which will be island settlements, so they're probably going to survive to the end of the game, as no one's probably done land troops over here to deal with them, but yeah, I think they're not going to win now, Egypt. They're done. They're done. The British are on the move. They have Arretium under siege, and they've got the troops to take it as well. The Julii could bring in reinforcements, but if they do that, then all of a sudden they leave Arretium without any soldiers, so then the Germans could walk in. Okay, the Marian reforms have been activated. I sent a rebel unit over here, and as we can see, Archer Auxilia, auxiliary units. So yeah, the Marian reforms are now in the Roman Empire. That explains why the Sicilians, the Scipii, were able to take Sicily, and why the Brutii are having such good success against the Greeks. The Marian reforms are in. For the Brutii and the Scipii, it came at the perfect point. They're now going to build quite big empires, I'm guessing. Maybe come to dominate if they have the time. But for the Julii, has it come too late? If the British take this settlement here, the capital, then that could be it for the Julii. They'll be down to 1 settlement, but it won't be good. And then if the British make a move on Rome, if they take Rome, the civil war begins just like that for some reason, which means the Brutii and the Scipii will be fighting to the death, and that will really set each other back. I think that will hinder them more than help them. I cannot believe it. The 3rd faction to die is a Roman faction. The Julii are gone, again by a regicide. So the British took this settlement here. The Julii were down to their final settlement anyway. They were going to die, but they ran out of generals, and that's it. Poof, they're gone. They're just gone. And that's it. Now, all of a sudden, nothing is stopping the Germans and the British from going for Rome. The death of the Julii is going to be game-changing for the entire Roman Empire. If the British just managed to take Rome, then imagine that. Yep, Julii dead. Instantly, the SBQR signs a peace treaty with the British. They're scared all of a sudden. I think Britain, getting some more troops down here. I think they'll go for the SBQR eventually. It seems like they've pushed back the Spanish a little bit, and they're in the land. I'll keep an eye on that bit. And well done to Macedonia for being able to take Sparta. They lost a lot of troops there though, taking out all those rebels, and they could probably have been better off using them against the Romans. But I guess a big city like this was probably worth it in the end. I don't know. Maybe not. The next turn, Britain goes to war with the SBQR, and they've got the troops, I think, to possibly destroy them. Maybe this first army might not be able to do it, but once we get a few more soldiers down here, then yeah, they should be able to. Or maybe not, maybe the Romans will hold. If the Scipii and the Brutii help them out a bit, then they could possibly retake some land here. Of course, the Brutii are here. If they get a good big army, take Batavium, loop round and get the British on the flank, cut them off, then eventually we could see northern Italy fall under the control of the Brutii, which would just make them so incredibly powerful. There'll be so little that anyone can do if northern Italy falls to the Brutii, and they'll have southern Italy as well and Greece. Imagine. Yeah, the British are definitely showing interest in Rome, and they're definitely bringing more troops down. It's not looking good for the Romans in Italy. Everywhere else for the Romans it's good, like in Greece for example, and in Sicily, but in Italy, no. And well done to the Scipii, of course, for taking Corsica and Sardinia from the Carthaginians. Carthage is now down to the final 4 settlements. Either done a land and take the city of Carthage itself. So yeah, the Brutii, as I said, they saw the value of northern Italy. They're not going around it the way I thought they would. They're actually just going to try and take Arinium, whilst it's a cheap rebel settlement to take. The British building up, they could take this off from any time they wanted, I think. If war is declared though between the Germans and the British, this here in northern Italy will become a brutal border. I think the British in the end would have the upper hand, but it would probably destroy both factions. They'll be so weak, and then the Romans will just move up and take all this for themselves. So I can't imagine it going well for both of them. Look at that, 5 full stacks just here, and they've got another one here as well. The Germans have a lot of potential, but they're not using their troops correctly. They need to be more aggressive. Nothing is stopping the Seleucid Empire. Of course, the Brutii did take a rebel settlement, but the British, the very next turn attack, they want it for themselves. They're not going for Rome yet. They're wanting to make sure they have Arinium, as it's quite a good settlement, you know, and it will be a good place to train some extra troops, get them onto their front, and it will help with their push onto Rome. The Scipii have landed in North Africa and have taken Forpus from the Carthaginian Empire. They're probably going to take Carthage itself soon, although, you know, they'll have some armies to chew through first. Alright, now the Germans are on the move, but it looks like they're going to take Arinium instead, and Segestica as well. Maybe the British were fine to let them have it, if they take Rome. Who knows? What are the SBQR doing down here? No, you don't need your troops down here. You need to get them up here, now. And what a brilliant place to end part 3. The British, they've taken most of northern Italy, along with the Germans' help as well, and now they're making the push on Rome. If they take Rome, civil war will begin between the 2 remaining Roman factions, the Brutii and the Scipii, both of which are looking kind of powerful right now, so it's not something they want. Meanwhile, the Germans are taking land from the Brutii themselves. If they actually take Rome, the Romans will fight each other. And if they keep on pushing into Italy and the Germans into Greece, and everything else just happens to go the way of the anti-Roman forces, then Rome could actually lose for the first time ever. With Marian reforms involved, Rome could lose. That could be really interesting to see, and if it's for this series as well and not an AI-only time-lapse, then, you know, we actually get to see in detail how it happens. I don't think it will happen. I think yes, the civil war will break out, but I think one Roman faction will try out on top. They'll be a bit slow afterwards, but eventually I think they should become quite a big power. I think that will be the Brutii. I think the Brutii will take this land here off Sicily, of Scipii, sorry, and build quite a big empire, despite being attacked on as many fronts as they are. I think they could do it. Here is a quick look at the diplomacy for those who do want to see it. I just scroll through it fast as I'm not going to read through all that. Any protectorates? No, not that I can see. Right, now let's check for stats. Okay, so I've made it so that it chooses the top 5 to show. We have, of course, the Seleucid Empire. Is that the British in second? Yep, the Brutii in third, the Germans in fourth, and the Scipii in fifth. I also want to get in Gaul and Armenia, as I believe these two have... Armenia has potential, and Gaul was interesting because of how it fell. So that's just overall, but of course it's done by territory. And here we are, territory. So as you can see, Gaul were leading, but then it all collapsed. I'll remove them as they're not any longer a contender in this. Let's just have a Julii just to see. Yeah, they were the best Roman faction at one point, but then it all fell for them. overall, the Seleucid Empire are leading with 17 settlements. Second is the British with about 14 settlements, and you can see the rest here. The Romans now have the Marian reforms, but is it going to be enough? I don't know. At the start, no, but once they get the Praetorians in, then yes, but do they have... They might be dead by that point, so who knows. And with the Barbarians coming into Italy as well, actually on the border of Rome, it's not good for the Romans. I can definitely see them losing this campaign. And then of course we have finances there, not that you can make much out of that, and population. So, hope you've enjoyed part 3, and please do subscribe so that you get notified of part 4. And I don't know what's going to happen in part 4, but I know it's going to be a very big episode that's going to change the history of... No, not the history, but this game. The virtual history, we'll call it. And yeah, if Rome does fall, who knows where the series is going to go after that. And that's all going to happen in part 4. Hope you've enjoyed, hope to see you in the next one, and good. Bye.